My name's Emily and I'm an addict. And as much as I love to talk, it is very terrifying to be up here. I have been clean and a member of Narcotics Anonymous since January 8th of 2020. Yeah. That is 1,997 days. Not that I keep track, right? I am a retread. I got clean in 2006. I stayed clean for 3 years, but my ego got in the way, and I convinced myself that I had just gone through a illicit drug phase, like everybody else, and that I was normal. I've always wanted to be normal. I've always wanted to be normal and wondered why I couldn't just be what everybody else was. And I started my life like that. I was born in San Antonio, Texas, to a 17-year-old mother and a 18-year-old father. My mother gave birth to me at a place called Buckner's Home for Unwed Mothers. She was sent there to live while she was pregnant with me, because in tiny towns in Texas, moms who are caught doing things that they shouldn't be doing get sent away. My biological father did marry her right before I was born because he couldn't stand the thought of me being an illegitimate baby. And I was born almost 2 months early. I weighed 4 pounds. And 10 days after I was born, she signed her rights over right away. 10 days after I was born, he signed his rights away. And that afternoon, I was picked up by my adoptive parents. Life was good for a little while. I was an accessory baby. My parents that adopted me, my dad was a Baptist minister and my mom was in the choir, and everybody doted on me because it was a little tiny place called Calvary Baptist Church in a little place called Panhandle, Texas, that I swear when somebody moved in, there was another person painting on the sign like +1. Right, so like 872, and then a baby would be born and they would just go erase it and add 1 to the population. And when I was 5 years old, I came home and my mom was crying and screaming at my dad, and my dad left. He had been banging his secretary, and anyways, it went on, and I grew up feeling abandoned. After my dad left, he was pretty absent. My mom remarried. They had a couple kids of their own. Once their kids were in the picture, I was yesterday's news. I was adopted, I was different, and I was treated as such. I joined the Navy when I was 17 after a bunch of shit. I was president of Student Crime Stoppers of America, y'all, in high school. Yeah, that was me. And I graduated when I was 17. I graduated in the top 10% of my class with honors and a member of the National Honor Society. I was a good kid. I didn't really do anything. I didn't even sneak out because we lived out in the middle of nowhere, so where was I going to go? The end of the lot. And my stepdad was severely abused when he was a child. He got taken from his house and he was 4 years old because his parents were awful, and he brought that with him into the marriage with my mother. And he would do things like I would get my spelling words wrong, and he would pick up my plate and smear it all over my face and then throw the plate at the wall. And I just needed to leave. So I joined the Navy when I was 17, thinking that I'm going to join the Navy and I'm going to get out of the house and I'm going to be a grown-up and everything is going to be okay and I'm going to go on and I'm going to live this wonderful adult life. And that didn't happen. I don't really talk about my time in the Navy very much. My time in the service was very traumatic for me. Parents, don't let your 17-year-old daughter join the military. It's not safe. At least it wasn't in my experience. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that. Anyways, I love Narcotics Anonymous. I love the steps. I love the traditions. I love that I don't ever have to be alone, and I love that I learned what love is in Narcotics Anonymous. Because prior to coming to Narcotics Anonymous, I had a really skewed view of what love is. To me, love hurt. Everybody left. Everything came with a price, and that price was usually me. Here in Narcotics Anonymous, we don't do that. So we work steps so we can learn how to live in love with ourselves, and we have traditions so that we can learn to live with other people and function outside ourselves. It states in the beginning of the Guiding Principles book that the purest goodwill found in Narcotics Anonymous is our desire for the newcomer to find relief. And that's what I have found in Narcotics Anonymous. I have found, since I walked back in the rooms in 2020, that there are people, even though I didn't trust you and I didn't trust me, but everybody in the room just wanted me to find relief. And that's what we want for everybody. Our primary purpose is to carry the message to the addict who still suffers. We believe in unity. We believe in love. We believe in compassion. We believe in chances. The only desire, or the only requirement for membership is the desire to stop using. And I am no judge on desire, right? When I walked into the rooms back in 2020, I was betting against myself. Thank God you guys weren't. I didn't think I'd make it a day, much less almost 2,000. You know, I learned a lot of lessons when I was out for the 12 years. I got clean in 2006. I got everything back real fast. See, in 2006 when I got clean, I got my kids back at 90 days. I got my house back at 90 days. I got my husband at the time back at 90 days. Everything just came back so easy. And I feel like I almost didn't appreciate my recovery the first time I got clean. Like I didn't fight for it hard enough. Like it all came back so easy, and it was just like, oops, had a needle in my arm for 9 months. My bad. You know, in the middle of 2004, 2005, I didn't get my kids taken away. I literally gave them away. They were in my fucking way. And I looked at my husband at the time and I said, I had them, you got them, and I left. And it was like when I was done doing my shit, everybody was like, oh, right, she's back. And I just walked right back into my life. And so when I relapsed in 2009, it wasn't like this big dramatic thing, right? It was like I picked up a beverage and I did it. And like the world didn't shatter, right? And, but my disease is cunning and it's baffling, and because my world didn't shatter right away, I continued. And then I continued to something else because I'm like, well, I drank and my world didn't fall apart, so maybe I can do this and my world won't fall apart. And I continued for 12 years of destruction. When I left that husband, because we got married when I was 19. We got married on our first date. I was in the Navy. He was in the Marines. I looked at him and said, "What do you want to do tonight?" And he said, "What do you want to do tonight?" I said, "Oh, let's go get married." And we went to a place called Marriage is Anytime. On top of a liquor store in Bonita, California at 10 o'clock at night, and we got married, and I didn't know what my last name was until I watched him sign the marriage certificate. And I remember standing at the back of the chapel and going, well, if this doesn't work, there's always divorce, and walked right on into it. And we stayed married for 15 years, and I had beautiful children, and I am grateful for that. You know, I don't hate him. We grew up into two different people. I grew up into myself, he grew up into an asshole, and we split up. And I was pretty fucked up when we split up, and I decided that a geographical change was going to fix everything because I don't go with myself everywhere I go. And I moved from Amarillo, Texas to Boise, Idaho in 2015. The thought process was, I'm going to move out to Boise a month before my children, and that'll give me a month to dry out. And then I'll be ready to get my kids back in my life, and I'll pick them back up, and we're going to live in Idaho, and everything's going to be great. I dried up off of some things, and I did get a job, and we had our little apartment, and my kids came, and then I decided to play on the Swipey app, and I met a him. Boy, did I meet a him. And I was excited because this him, he drank like me, and we could be fucked up together, and we weren't going to judge each other, right? And I thought that it was going to be great, and it was toxic. And toxic and toxic and toxic until toxic led to one night him leaving in a cop car and me leaving in an ambulance. And I learned, right, though, when the bottom hits, there's always more bottom. And instead of using that as a wake-up call to do something about my problem that I didn't have, he had, I continued to use harder and harder and faster and try to stay as numb and incapacitated as I could, right? But I didn't have a problem. I was just going to use until everything got better. Because it wasn't me using that was the problem. Yes, God? Then I got arrested, and then I got arrested again, and tried to die in there somewhere, and I eventually found the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous. I did go to treatment, but I used all the way through treatment, so yay, treatment. I came back to Narcotics Anonymous, and I didn't want to be here. I didn't want to be near you. You guys sucked. You were too fucking happy. I just wanted to not feel the way I felt. And I was tired of letting my kids down. I was tired of traumatizing my kids. I was tired of my kids finding me passed out in my bathtub. I was tired of my kids finding me passed out on the floor and literally slapping me and me not waking up. I was tired of I was tired of being tired. I was tired of not loving myself. So I came into Narcotics Anonymous and I sat down and people hugged me. And I came back. And I came back and I came back, but I still wanted love. Because I grew up with a skewed vision of love and I didn't know what love was. And so I made some decisions when I first got here and I acted like a newcomer. And I caused some people harm with those decisions. I came in here still married. And then I sought comfort somewhere else. And then I plucked that person over for a little while too. But then I started working steps and I realized I didn't like the woman I saw when I looked in the mirror. So I stopped living that lie and I fixed it. And it didn't look the way I thought it was gonna look. I started working steps on what was hurting me and what I was doing to other people, all for the sake of looking for love. And the way I thought it was gonna go is not the way it went, but it went the way it needed to go. And I found the courage to do something that I had been scared to do, but I wanted to do for a long time before. I sat down and I started working some steps and I realized that I was powerless and unmanageable even when I didn't have substances in my body if I didn't learn how to live with spiritual principles in my life and by the traditions of Narcotics Anonymous. I started working steps and I realized that my problem is not drugs. My problem is me. Oops. My problem is that I look for outside things to fix inside holes. And sometimes that looks like I want comfort. Sometimes that looks like I want to shop. Sometimes that looks like I want to sit on my bed and watch 12 fucking episodes of 24 of SVU, even though Ice-T is still a terrible actor. And I sat down and I worked some steps and I learned some patterns in my behavior. And as much as I love the steps, I've really started to love our traditions. And I thought that I had to have like this super uber amount of like serenity and clean time to understand traditions. And I started reading about the traditions and I realized that we really start to understand their traditions before we even start to work the steps. I was a coffee maker before I started working steps. I was of service to my home group. I was helping carry the message when I showed up. I was involved in group conscious. I was a trusted servant. I did not govern. I started going to area. I found unity. And I was really disappointed because people here don't throw chairs. I have found that everything I need to know about Narcotics Anonymous is in the literature. I love the literature. It was written for us, it was written by us, and it was written about us. And every time I read it, I find something new that I didn't catch the time before. And every time I pick up a new piece of literature to read, I'm in awe. Because I open those pages and I read those words and I find myself walking across those pages, line by line by line. I see Emily's story in different chapters, in different people, through different eyes, in different worlds. But they're all me, and I am them. Because in Narcotics Anonymous, we have unity, and we have love, and we have compassion. As I began to work steps, I slowly started to be able to look at myself in the mirror and realize those character defects that I have And trust me, I've got them. I am controlling and I am anxious and I have walls and I am judging you. And I am critical and I can be lazy and I can be all of those things and I can be me. Oh, can I be me? But you want to know what? If you see me being really mean, I'm really fucking scared. But all those things, all those character defects, those are how I learned how to survive. And that's okay. It really is, it's okay. But I continue to work the steps and I continue to have a higher power so that I can speak to Sky Daddy and I can ask Sky Daddy to humbly remove my shortcomings. And I can drop them off with Sky Daddy anytime I want. And sometimes I like to go pick those hoes back up and walk about with them for a little while and wonder why my shoulders are so fucking heavy. And it's like, oh yeah, you're holding on to some hatred today. Maybe you should go drop that back off. And I think to myself, I don't want to. We can do whatever we want, Narcotics Anonymous. We can. You just have to be willing to pay the consequence. You just have to be willing to make amends. And you know, some of the behaviors I had when I first got here hurt somebody that had really hurt me right before I got here. And I hated that. Because that motherfucker hurt me. And I did not want to have to owe that motherfucker an amends. And I behaved shitty. And that motherfucker's gonna have to be on my amends list. But I'm not on that step. And however possible will come how it comes. Or not, I'm not my higher power, who knows? Maybe my sponsor will let me take that name off, I don't know, we'll chat. I love Narcotics Anonymous because Narcotics Anonymous breathed life back into my life. I was actively trying to not be a member of this earth when I got here. I honestly thought that the people in my life were better off without me. And I meant it. But I have learned in Narcotics Anonymous that feelings are temporary. Situations are temporary. And that there is a crazy woman that runs around in my head that can convince me of anything. And that I just need to sit down sometimes, find a pen I really, really like, put it on that piece of paper, and feel that feeling of that pen rolling across that paper smoothly and get some shit out between me and my Sky Daddy. Because I have a higher power today in Narcotics Anonymous. The basic text told me to get one. And you know, my higher power doesn't have to be anybody else's higher power. My higher power has no religion, no creed, no nothing. It just has to be bigger than me and understanding and loving and kind. Anything else, that's my business. I don't have to make you understand my higher power, just like I don't have to understand your higher power. Your higher power is none of my fucking business. But I love my higher power. And my higher power loves me. And I know this because he told me so. He told me the other day when I was yelling at him in my car. I told him to fuck off, and he said, I love you. You know, and because I have my higher power, I understand today that my children need me. They're not better off without me. They were never better off without me. See, I'm not one of those moms that got my children taken away. My children watched me every day of my addiction until they were 16, 15, 17, and 18 years old. Every freaking day. I envy women who get clean when their kids are young. I am proud of that for them. Because it is hard to know that you used through your child's life. But here's the deal. My kids are young adults. And I was talking to my, getting my lashes done this morning because I'm high maintenance, and that's cool because I maintain myself, so I get to be as high maintenance as I want. And I was talking to my lash lady this morning, and we were talking about the kids, and she goes, yeah, but they're young adults now. They can appreciate it, and they can have fun. When they were little, they were assholes. I was like, all right. They didn't even appreciate what you did for them then, so it's okay that you weren't always present. I was like, way to spin that one. Way to spin that one. Normie. Today I get to show up in my kid's life like I've never shown up before. My son is going through some drama with his baby mama because he decided to have a child with a wonderful woman who her higher power loves her, so I don't have to. And he has moved back into my home, and it's his safe spot, and I get to coddle him, and I get to be there for him, and I get to support him, and I get to love him. And my youngest daughter, she's actually sitting right over there, and she's my best friend. And we spend every Sunday together no matter what, even though she moved out of my house 2 years ago, the little shithead. And I'm proud of her, and I'm proud of my son, and I have another child too. I have a daughter. She's 23 years old, and I knew somewhere along the way that one of my children was going to be really fucking mad at me for what I put him through, and that's her. She lives in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where her dad lives, and she's in the Army National Guard, and she hasn't spoken to me in 3 years. She's processing her shit, and as much as I want to be up her ass every fucking day going, love me yet, 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 look at me, I'm clean, I'm clean, I'm clean, I'm clean. I don't get to do that. I don't. I get to let her have her process, and someday when my higher power decides it's the right time, or not, I'll be here, waiting for her. Because my parents taught me love with conditions. I didn't teach my children love with conditions. I taught my children that I was going to love them no matter what. No matter what. So whenever my daughter is ready to come home, mommy will be here. And mommy will be clean. And mommy will be able to take care of whatever she needs. Because I work a program in Narcotics Anonymous. You know, I have opportunities today. When I was using, I had manipulations. Now that I'm clean, I have opportunities. And I'm so grateful for the opportunities in my life today. I have worked very hard for the things that I have in my life. I have lived on my own for 6 years, in my own place, with my own car, my 2 dogs that are jerks, my beautiful little yellow kitchen, and I never thought it was going to be possible that I could take care of myself. I am fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. Because I don't want to have to pay it back. And I have a career today. I have a beautiful career today. And you know what? Junkies like me don't get jobs like I have, but we do. And I worked really hard to get here. I worked really hard to get here. And Narcotics Anonymous worked with me. I have a sponsor that I love. I have a group of women that I love, and they love me back. I have a significant other that I tricked into matching me today. And and I have friends, and I've learned healthy relationships and boundaries. I've learned to open up when I'm going through things. And you know, I've been going through some shit lately, all in my fucking head though. Like nothing's like super wrong. Like I'm so stupid to even say it out loud. I have gained some weight lately, like a lot of it. And so I've been going through some fucked up shit in my head, and I want to shop about it, and I want to eat about it, and I want to cry about it, and I want to do everything about it, but learn to just accept and sit where I'm at and love the body that I'm in. And Narcotics Anonymous has taught me that it's not about the body I'm in. Because as a female in active addiction, for a long time, especially in my early addiction, it was all about the body I was in. Today, people love me for my heart and my mind. When I was young and I was in my early addiction, men used me for my body. And I don't have to do that anymore. And I haven't had to do it in a long time. Because other people respect me. And I don't know which came first. I don't know if I started respecting myself first or if other people started respecting me. But somewhere along the line, I started to respect myself. And the feeling that you get when you realize that you don't have to be ashamed anymore. That you can sit up here and you can tell your story and you can admit that at one point you were a shitty fucking person who made some shitty fucking decisions and not feel the shame and the guilt about it. That moment is freeing. So freeing. I don't have to live in the prison of the shame and the guilt that I felt when I first got here, or the shame and the guilt I felt in early recovery when I was acting like a newcomer and I was making bad decisions, all because I just wanted somebody to love me. Today I get to love myself and I get to love other people and I just get to be. My old sponsor who moved to Montana used to tell me, Emily, remember where your feet are. And I'm like, they're just below my shins, jerk. And I used to hate it when she would say it. But now that I spend more time remembering where my feet are and staying right where I'm at, I appreciate it. Because the more time I spend in my past, the more depressed I get, and the more time I spend in my future, the more anxious I get. And the less I appreciate what I have in front of me right now, the less I enjoy the moment I'm in, and the less I just get to accept and breathe in and enjoy the sunshine. And there wasn't a lot of sunshine in my life when I was using. As a matter of fact, there was almost no sunshine in my life, especially in my closet, where I was getting loaded, or my bathroom, or the bathroom at the bar. There was no sunshine in those places. I have a granddaughter. She's 18 months old. Man, she's breathed light into my life, and that baby never has to see me get loaded, ever. I get to be that baby's safe space. She's Mimi's girl. And I look at my kids and my grandkids and grandkids. What the hell? Should I have another one? No, just one grandkid. I look at my kids and my grandkid, and I hope to God that I didn't pass this on. But if I did, we'll know how to handle it. We pray for those that we cannot save, and the only person we can save is ourselves. Because trust me, we can love somebody to death. The disease of addiction takes people out every day. Mothers, fathers, children, grandchildren. But living a program of Narcotics Anonymous, we have the chance to save our own lives. And by living by our primary purpose, which is to carry the message to the addict who still suffers, we get to open those doors and hopefully help somebody else save their life. I'm so grateful for Narcotics Anonymous for being open and helping me save my own life. Because Narcotics Anonymous taught me how to do it. Narcotics Anonymous taught me how to be a woman of integrity. Taught me how to be a mother who shows up. It taught me how to be a friend. It taught me how to be a lover. It taught me how to be a girlfriend and accept love. It taught me how to be a part of a team. It taught me that I'm not the most important person in the room, even though I'll tell you I am. And I just really love Narcotics Anonymous. Because I know that I could walk away from Narcotics Anonymous today and Narcotics Anonymous would still go. But if Narcotics Anonymous walked away from me today, I would eventually die. So I'm going to continue to keep coming back. I'm going to continue following the traditions. And I'm going to continue to work steps like my life depends on it. Because without Narcotics Anonymous, there is no me. Thank you for letting me share. My name's Emily and I'm an addict. And as much as I love to talk, it is very terrifying to be up here. I have been clean and a member of Narcotics Anonymous since January 8th of 2020. Yeah. That is 1,997 days. Not that I keep track, right? I am a retread. I got clean in 2006. I stayed clean for 3 years, but my ego got in the way, and I convinced myself that I had just gone through a illicit drug phase, like everybody else, and that I was normal. I've always wanted to be normal. I've always wanted to be normal and wondered why I couldn't just be what everybody else was. And I started my life like that. I was born in San Antonio, Texas, to a 17-year-old mother and a 18-year-old father. My mother gave birth to me at a place called Buckner's Home for Unwed Mothers. She was sent there to live while she was pregnant with me, because in tiny towns in Texas, moms who are caught doing things that they shouldn't be doing get sent away. My biological father did marry her right before I was born because he couldn't stand the thought of me being an illegitimate baby. And I was born almost 2 months early. I weighed 4 pounds, and 10 days after I was born, she signed her rights over right away. 10 days after I was born, he signed his rights away, and that afternoon I was picked up by my adoptive parents. Life was good for a little while. I was an accessory baby. My parents that adopted me, my dad was a Baptist minister and my mom was in the choir, and everybody doted on me because it was a little tiny place called Calvary Baptist Church in a little place called Panhandle, Texas, that I swear when somebody moved in, there was another person painting on the sign like +1, right? So like 872, and then a baby would be born and they would just go erase it and add 1 to the population. And when I was 5 years old, I came home and my mom was crying and screaming at my dad, and my dad left. He had been banging his secretary, and anyways, it went on, and I grew up feeling abandoned. After my dad left, he was pretty absent. My mom remarried. They had a couple kids of their own. Once their kids were in the picture, I was yesterday's news. I was adopted, I was different, and I was treated as such. I joined the Navy when I was 17 after a bunch of shit, you know. I was president of Student Crime Stoppers of America, y'all, in high school. Yeah, that was me. And I graduated when I was 17. I graduated in the top 10% of my class with honors and a member of the National Honor Society. I was a good kid. I didn't really do anything. I didn't even sneak out because we lived out in the middle of nowhere, so where was I going to go? The end of the lot. And my stepdad was severely abused when he was a child. He got taken from his house and he was 4 years old because his parents were awful, and he brought that with him into the marriage with my mother. And he would do things like I would get my spelling words wrong and he would pick up my plate and smear it all over